Have you ever noticed how some religious people seem to stay calm when everything's falling apart, like the world's on fire and they're just okay? Now, of course, not all religious people handle stress well. Faith doesn't magically solve everything, but statistically and psychologically, religion gives many people tools that non-religious life often lacks. And here's the interesting part. You don't need to believe in God to use the same tools. Let me explain what's actually happening in their minds. When crisis hits, they're never alone. Imagine you're going through something terrible. Maybe you lost your job, or someone you love is sick. For most of us, that weight sits entirely on our shoulders. We're carrying it alone, asking, why me? What did I do wrong? But religious people, they automatically reframe it. It's not just them versus the problem. They see it as a test, or part of a bigger plan, or a way they're being shaped into something stronger. Psychologists call this meaning-making, the ability to turn suffering into something purposeful. And here's the key difference. They feel like someone's in it with them. God, the universe, something greater. It doesn't matter what you call it. The point is, they're not drowning alone. Think about it like this. If you're lifting a heavy box and someone says, I've got the other end, you instantly feel lighter, right? Even if they're not actually holding much weight, just knowing they're there helps. That's what faith does for the mind. Their emotions land faster. Most people spiral when bad things happen. We go, this is terrible. Why is this happening? I must be cursed. Maybe I'm just a bad person. Does the universe hate me? That's called rumination, when your brain keeps chewing on the same anxious thought over and over. Religious people tend to skip that loop. Their thought process is more like, okay, this happened. God's watching. I'll do what I can. And then they move. There's less time spent drowning in the why because they already have an answer built in. Let's say someone loses a parent. A non-religious person might spiral for months thinking, this isn't fair. Why now? What if I'd done something different? A religious person still grieves deeply, but they have a framework. They're at peace now. This was their time. I'll see them again. The pain is real, but it doesn't get stuck in endless loops. They have a built-in support system. Here's something practical that researchers call social buffering. Having a community literally buffers you against stress. When you're part of a religious community, you're never truly alone. The moment something goes wrong, there's a whole network ready to catch you. Church friends bring you meals, your priest sits with you, someone organises a prayer circle. Compare that to modern life, where most of us are sort of floating. We have friends, sure, but how many of them would you call at 3 a.m? How many spaces do you go to regularly where people truly see you? That difference matters more than we think. So, what if you're not religious? Here's the thing. You don't need God to access these same psychological stabilizers. What religion provides is really just 4 core things, and you can build all of them yourself. First, a sense of meaning. Religious people can look at suffering and say, this is shaping me, this is part of my journey. You can do the exact same thing without religion. Next time something terrible happens, try this. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? How is this making me stronger? Let's say you went through a brutal breakup. Instead of spiraling into I'm unlovable, you could tell yourself, this is the chapter where I learn what I actually need. Future me is going to be so much wiser because of this. Same pain, completely different frame, and that frame is everything. Second, a sense of belonging. Religion gives you a tribe, but you can build your own, and it doesn't require Sunday services. You don't need a church full of people. You need 2 or 3 people who genuinely see you, people you can text when things fall apart, people who won't judge you, won't try to fix you, just sit with you. But here's the part people miss. You also need rhythm, not just relationships. Maybe it's a weekly coffee with someone. Maybe it's a running group where you see the same faces every Tuesday. Maybe it's a book club that meets once a month. Humans don't get stability from excitement. They get it from showing up to the same place, seeing the same people week after week. That predictable rhythm creates safety. That's what churches have figured out. Third, a bigger perspective. Religious people can zoom out. When they're drowning in anxiety, they think, in God's eyes, this is small. In eternity, I'm okay. You can do this too, and you don't need heaven to do it. Try asking yourself, how will I see this situation 5 years from now? That embarrassing thing you said at work? Probably won't matter. That argument with your friend? Likely just a blip. The job you didn't get? Maybe it wasn't even the right path. Or go even bigger. Read about the universe. Watch a nature documentary. Stand under the stars and remind yourself that you're part of something enormous, something that's been unfolding for billions of years. One of my friends went through a devastating professional failure. She felt like her entire identity had collapsed. Then she went hiking alone in the mountains for 3 days. She told me later, standing there looking at a landscape that's existed for millions of years, somehow my failure felt less like the end of the world and more like just one moment, a painful one, but just one. That perspective doesn't erase pain, but it stops you from being consumed by it. Fourth, permission to start over. This might be the most powerful one. Religion teaches that you can always be forgiven. You can always begin again. No matter what you've done, there's grace. There's a clean slate. Most of us don't give ourselves that. We carry shame around like a backpack full of rocks. We think, I screwed up, so now I'm just damaged. But what if you gave yourself the same grace that religious people believe they get from God? Here's what I mean. Grace isn't the absence of responsibility. It's what makes responsibility sustainable. You can acknowledge you messed up and give yourself permission to try again. Those two things aren't opposites. You don't need a priest to absolve you. Create your own ritual, write it in your journal, say it out loud, light a candle, take a deep breath and consciously decide, I'm letting this go. I'm allowed to start fresh. Psychologists call this self-forgiveness, and research shows it's one of the strongest predictors of long-term mental health, the bottom line. Religious people aren't magically happier because of some supernatural force. They're often more stable because they've been given or built a psychological structure that works. And you can build the same structure. You just need 4 things: a way to make sense of your pain, a few people who truly see you, a perspective bigger than your immediate crisis, and permission to be human, to mess up, to start over. You don't need to believe in God. You just need to believe that your life has meaning, that you're not alone, that this moment isn't forever, and that you deserve to keep going. That's it. That's the framework. And honestly, once you build that foundation, once you have meaning, belonging, perspective, and grace, you might find yourself more stable than you ever thought possible. Not because you're avoiding pain, but because you've built something strong enough to hold it.